Hi, Michael. Team news, if you don't mind, start off with Matheus Cunha, Luke Shaw, Ligt. Is there any other people that we need to be wary of?
No, we're in good shape, really. Matheus has done a little bit of work, so we're hopeful. We're not sure, but we're hopeful. So obviously, Matt is still a little bit further. He's not involved in the game, but other than that, they're in good shape.
Obviously, yesterday the club announced Kobbie Mainoo signed his new deal till 2031. How big a boost is that to the club? And I saw Jason Wilcox describe him as one of the most naturally gifted young footballers in the world. What's your take on him?
Yeah, I've been hugely impressed with Kobbie since I've been here. I think I've known him quite some time in different capacities, but certainly been aware of him for a long time. And he epitomises this football club, you know. Young players coming through the academy, living, breathing the club, and coming through with real talent, you know, and showing what he's doing. I think the last couple of games particularly, I think he's been fantastic, and the natural thing and the evolution is to obviously sign a new contract. So everyone's over the moon with that, including me, because I think he deserves it.
Michael, when we spoke to you a couple of weeks ago about Leeds, obviously we spoke about the rivalry, and you've not played that often against them. Clearly you played quite often against Liverpool. Would you still regard it as the biggest game for Manchester United, no matter where the clubs are in the league?
Certainly one of my favourite games, yeah, without doubt. I think it's a standout game, you know. I think there's obviously big games and big rivalries that we have with other teams, but certainly this one is right up there. And the history, the ups and downs that past has produced in these type of games, and the excitement and entertainment, I think it's and the emotion, which is a huge part of it. It makes it a really special game.
If you think about the game, what thing do you think of first?
I think it's just that edge and that competition, really, and irrespective of league positions over the years of who's been on top at certain times or whatever, it's never really changed the feeling of the game and the emotion and the supporters. And I think it's and really appreciating what it means to the supporters. I think we have to do that. It's just a special game, you know, to be part of, and obviously to come out on top is one of the best feelings you'll get.
Ben.
Afternoon, Michael. To go back to Kobbie, he hadn't started a Premier League game until you returned. I just wondered, putting football aside though, what was it like to first talk to him when you came back? Because I imagine he probably wasn't full of confidence, having not played a lot of football and maybe having that first dip of the early part of his career. So what was that like with Kobbie the person rather than Kobbie as a footballer?
Like all the players, I think, trying to get that connection and the understanding and building relationships. Certainly understanding what it had looked like for Kobbie over the last 2-3 years, and the ups and the downs and the big highs and some challenging times. And letting him thrive, you know, just giving him that platform to go and be himself. And I think he's evolved. He's improving all the time. I think you can see that. The more responsibility, the more confidence, the more belief keeps adding to his game, and he's certainly done that. But yeah, just giving him that platform and that opportunity to go and be the best version, and he's, as I just said, he's done fantastic with it. There's more to come. There's loads more to come. I keep saying that for some time because he's such a young man, you know. And but he's in a great spot at the moment.
Stu? Michael, you said there's loads more to come. By the end of this contract, it'll be sort of mid-20s. What do you think he could achieve here, beyond in that time?
Well, hopefully he's here for a long time, and he's part of successful teams that win things, win trophies. That has to be the aim. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be straightforward. But that's got to be the challenge, and that's got to be the aim of Kobbie is to be the best version of himself and keep pushing, keep improving. But certainly having a platform of a team and the football club that's in a good place to keep pushing forward as well. And we want to be competing for the biggest of trophies, and we've done it in the past, and we need to do it again.
Time.
Hi, Michael.
You've had a very settled team since you've come back, and obviously the schedule has helped with that. Do you think the squad is deep enough and big enough to compete on maybe 4 fronts next year and play 60 games rather than 40?
Well, it's certainly a different challenge to what we've had over the last 3 or 4 months. It's a natural one. I think it's where we want to be. So it's a real positive if that is the case. If we get in the position that we want to finish in the league to be able to do that. And obviously evolving all the time. I think always trying to improve, always trying to be stronger. Whether that's quality, whether that's depth, whether that's the makeup of the squad, the balance of the squad, the balance of the team. Constantly pushing to move forward, really.
Jamie? Michael, you played central midfield for this club until you're sort of 36, 37. Casemiro's now 33, 34. What's the key to doing it as you get a little bit older? Why has Casemiro been so good this year? And also, do you actually give him any advice, or you just don't need to because he is sort of like quite an accomplished player?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting in terms of how much you give certain players. Even younger players, you think sometimes you need to help them a lot and give them a lot. Other times you actually, a little bit like Kobbie scenario, really, of knowing when to come off and just let them develop and let them thrive. There's a little bit, certain players want more than others. And then there's the stage when, there's a lot of experience and you're kind of crossing the 30 mark and you're in them stages. Players are a lot of the time of a little bit what they are and trusting them to know themselves as well, and speaking to them on a level really where there's an understanding there. And certainly with Cassie, that's been the case of knowing what he's good at, what he can bring to the team, trying to play to his strengths if anything, and having a real trust in his experience and the level that he has. And to play for so long at such a level, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of work. It's not easy, I think. That was something I was personally proud of sustaining it for a period of time. And certain players have different types of careers. There's big spikes and maybe a bit dip. Some players a bit more steady, but to do what he's done over such a long period of time takes a lot of credit. It takes a lot of work and a lot of credit for everyone for doing what he has.
Richard.
Hi, Michael. You said that Liverpool and United's a big game irrespective of league position, but this year there's the chance to finish ahead of them, whereas obviously last year there's a big difference in the table between the clubs. And what would it mean this year if you can?
Yeah, I just think this probably shows the improvements of the group really and getting stronger, and then to be coming into this game in such a good position, on the back of good results and trying to achieve and moving forward. So fully aware of the situation in the league and how close it is between us, but that's not something really we've focused on going into this game. I think it's a one-off game. I think they've got some terrific players. They're a good team. They won the league last year, and obviously we respect everything that goes into the game. So we're treating it as that, as a one-off game. The league position is what it is, but Sunday's a whole different ball game.
David.
Just following on from Simon's question, which I was going to ask, what does it say about the respective standings of yourselves and Liverpool and the kind of enduring global appeal of both clubs, that even though you're not going for the title, even though it's between City and Arsenal, this is still the standout game, the biggest game, and it'll be watched around the world by tens of millions of fans? What does that say about the two clubs?
Yeah, first of all, it's a real privilege for all of us to be involved in it. In whatever capacity, and I think that's the beauty of football though in the end. We all get wound up at times in different ways about what's going on week to week, from club to club and the ups and downs, but talking about a career as an individual, of sustaining a career, but to sustain a level of performance over a period of time for each football club. And then I think there's a way of how you do it as well, and what the standards look like, what it means, what the behaviours and what you stand for as a football club. And I think it's two incredible football clubs, and to be so close together in so many ways, to titles and geographical, not far away. I think it to have such an impact over such a period of time is quite special, and I think we all appreciate that.